there it is, what is probably one of the best endless runner type games available today. Although I suppose in this case it'd be more of an endless flyer game, since you could see from this footage that the game is about you piloting a ship across an ever-increasingly hazardous landscape, in which you try to, as desperately as you can, keep up with the sun, as it keeps continuously setting on you. But trust me when I say this is much easier said than done, as just like I said earlier, there will be many different types of obstacles in your way, and if you manage to head-on crash into any of them just once, it's game over. And the same is true if the sun completely sets on you. So then how are you to survive this endless flight and get as high a score as you possibly can? Well, there are a few ways, starting with the most prominent, the power-ups. There being 3 of which that you'll come in contact with. The first and most important one being the energy pickup, as whenever you collect one of these, the sun goes back up a little bit, and by doing this you're given an extension on your surviving timer. Next up is the jump, which is self-explanatory. You can use it to jump over obstacles if you're in a jam. And finally, the shield, which allows you a free hit, because if you crash into something, you'll then be teleported to like the height limit and then spat out. But unfortunately, because of how kind of overpowered this power-up is, it does not appear as often as the other 2 do. So you really should consider yourself lucky if you manage to find one. But that's not all you'll find within this barren hellscape, because if you're truly lucky, you'll find yourself going through one of the hidden warp portals. And what you find on the other side is a bonus zone. And there are many types, all complete with their own different biomes. Like you'll go to the woodlands, or like underwater, or even in space, or a misty valley. And basically what these zones are reprieves from the regular gameplay, as there's like little to no obstacles that you can crash into, and there's a whole bunch of triangles for you to pick up, which I'm just now realizing I haven't talked about at all. But quickly, the triangles, whenever you collect them, they give you points, but once you collect 5 of them, your multiplier goes up by 1. But yeah, in these bonus rounds, it's basically just you picking up the triangles and getting your multiplier as high as you could possibly get it. But there are 2 definite things also that I have to say is that, 1, there are definitely better bonus zones than others, because I feel like there's more triangles that spawn in and are easier to get, like within the underwater level, or especially the space one. And the second big thing is that although these zones are not as hard as the main game area, you're still not completely out of harm's way. So you can't completely relax yourself, you still need to be on guard, or else again, 1 hit, you're dead. But anyway, once you're out of the bonus zone, you're back in the regular game and you're starting in the next region. But if those zones weren't as crucial enough with the scoring wise, you're also restarting with a full set of sun, which is honestly probably the best bonus of doing these. But now that we're back in the main zone of the game, let's talk about some of the things that you'll find in it. And no, I'm not just talking about the many different things that try to kill you, like the nukes going off, or the rolling balls, or even like those brown vehicles that are driving back and forth, or the laser beams, or if you really get far into it, the caterpillars, or even the flowers that like shoot out spikes. Yeah, no, you're definitely in for one hell of a time. But what I really want to get into is how you properly play and learn this game. Starting off with the fact that you could probably already tell at this point that this game is randomly generated. The first time going through, you have no clue what's in front of you. But every subsequent time after, you will start memorizing your layout, like where you've been and how to get there. And maybe even what power-ups spawn where and where to go in for a portal. But the thing is, the pattern that you're memorizing today will not be the same for tomorrow. That is because the map will change every 24 hours or so, leading you right back to square one where you need to start learning a whole new pattern, which I mean is kinda neat, it keeps the game fresh. And since the layout doesn't change until the next day, that gives you plenty of time to learn yourself a pathway through it. It's a happy medium between way too random and not random enough. But then that leads us to what you actually have to memorize every time you play, which is the landscapes of the areas you're going through. Because you need to know not only what you need to do to survive these locations, but also like what hidden secrets they have within. Like for the first part, if you're going up against like those rolling balls, you need to know when to turn in order to avoid avoid them. And when it comes to the second part, you need to find the hidden jump ramps, because once you do, obviously you'll not only go farther in the sky, but you'll also be able to like pick up the triangles that are up there, and maybe snag some power-ups as well. You also need to keep an eye out to find out where the portals spawn in, so that way every time you go through a specific location, you know where to look, and if there's one there, try and get into it. But the bottom line is just that once you learn a location, then you should be able to get through it every time. And well, that just about wraps up how you actually play this game. Now I'll just knock out the few extra things. Starting off with your ship's enhancements and cosmetics. The enhancements being stuff that helps you out more, obviously. And you have quite the wide range to choose from. Like if you want to have more than just one jump, you would pick that, or if you want more shields, you could pick that, or if you want to turn faster, or if you want like shadow areas not to drain as much battery as they normally do. But you gotta be mindful of what you're choosing because you can only pick 3. I believe when I played, the 3 that I picked was faster moving, the shadow one, and the magnet one. You definitely need that magnet one, since it allows you to pick up stuff from a much greater distance away. And then we have the ship's cosmetics, which, I mean, is nothing really more than a symbol that you could put onto it. And I also want to say that you could change what type of ship you're flying, so that's kind of something. I mean, overall, this isn't much, but I mean, it's still better than nothing. I mean, I would like to say that it would be neat if you could, like, change the color of your ship, but I feel like during gameplay that might come off as a bit too distracting. Anyway, the next extra is just a quick little tip, which is that although I said you die if you head-on collision something, if you sideswipe something, you only like bump yourself. And I know it's neat to not die, but it still like penalizes you by removing a bit of sunlight and removing like I believe 5 off of your multiplier. But what I'm saying is that you are not vulnerable on your sides. If you hit the wall, you could just try and brush it off and recover. Next, I'm just gonna quickly knock out the music and the graphics, which the music is, I mean, there's not that much of it, but for what's here, it's actually really good. Really intense stuff that perfectly matches with the gameplay. And then we have the graphics, which despite being very simple and minimalistic, they kind of have their own style. Although I will say that everything being covered in this bright white canvas could get annoying to look at after a while. Alright, finally we have the last thing in this category, which is the extra game modes. Which, I mean, they're neat that they're here. There's like one that's overhead or another one that's literally you playing the credits. Although personally I wasn't really into these other modes. Well, with the exception of Apocalypse mode, which is the mode you play in case you didn't think the game wasn't hard enough already. You know, you go much faster, there's much more obstacles, the sun goes down quicker. I mean, you're literally in hell, essentially, and you gotta get through it. But anyway, that wraps up all the major points I wanted to hit with this game. Now to do the 2 negative things I have against it. Well, 1 negative and 1 I'm kind of on the fence about. We'll start with that one. And well, the thing that I'm kind of not really completely sure about is the fact that this game has a leveling system, where you need to fill up like a certain amount of circles in order to get to the next level. And you do this by completing challenges, the harder of which give you more circles. And again, these challenges range in difficulty from something as simple as needing to collect 100 triangles, all the way down to needing to complete an entire region only turning left. And as you level up, you slowly unlock everything that the game has to offer. And that right there is kind of what my issue is with this system. Because with arcade games like this, you really just want to jump right into it and start playing. But with this leveling up system, you can't. You don't even start off with like sun extensions or multipliers, you have to unlock them. Basically, you won't be able to play the game properly until you get to max level. And well, for as much as I really don't like that fact, I am on the fence about it for 3 reasons. The first of which is just the simple fact that you only have to do this once. And I would imagine overall, in the grand scheme of playing this game, that this would only be one very small blip in it. Something that you would do very quickly to get it over with, and then continue to play normally. And then once you're done with it, you never have to worry about it again. The second reason is because it kind of offers a new way to play, like a new way to challenge yourself in order order to try and get these challenges done, instead of just doing the normal trying to survive over and over again. And then I guess the third reason is because in a way you're like slowly building yourself up. Like you're getting yourself better at the game, and then the game rewards you for that. And the reward is being able to get through easier. But anyway, that wraps up my one semi-negative thing to say about this game. Now we'll move on to the final thing, which is the only true gripe I have with it. But for this specific topic, I do need to bring up the fact that I was playing the Xbox version of this game, and that also semi-recently I got it for PC as well. And well, having played it on PC, I have noticed three major differences. One is just weird because for whatever reason the leaderboards don't seem to work, while on Xbox they work just fine. Second is that whenever you start the game, you're now greeted not only by the title but also by a quote, which is like one of those neat little things that is small but like goes a great distance, and it makes me like the game a little bit more. And well, I guess it is a bit disappointing that it's not in the Xbox version, but this obviously is not a deal breaker. But it does at the very least tell me that the PC version has been updated. And why is that important? Well, difference number 3 is why that's important. And this difference is connected to the warp portals, and that being the simple fact that on the PC version I have never experienced the following. Yep, you're seeing this right. If you go through the portal, there's a chance that the game will just straight up soft lock on you. And well, a game not working properly is probably the worst sin it can commit. And especially when it comes to a game like this, where if you quit you need to restart, this is just complete bullshit. Like the idea that you could be like a million or so points in and then go through a portal, then just get screwed. I know it's definitely happened to me a couple more times. And I get more frustrated by the simple fact that this is probably an easy fix and like a quick update if the creators ever wanted to do it, but they never have. And I guess the only somewhat positive thing I could say about this is just the simple fact that it's not always guaranteed to happen. It's like 1 in 4, 25%. But it's just the simple fact of the matter, it shouldn't be here to begin with. The game should be working 100%, nothing like this should have slipped on through. And since it has, it should have been fixed, but that hasn't happened either. And for those reasons, although it doesn't completely destroy the game, I still can't in good conscience like recommend this version of it. Unless like, since I've played it, it actually got updated and everything's got fixed. But if that hasn't happened, I would instead just say get it on PC. Because although I have played less time on the PC version than compared to the Xbox version, and there still might be the slightest chance that the PC version also has this glitch and I just haven't experienced it yet, I would be rather more willing to bet that the simple fact is the PC version got updated, this glitch got fixed, and just play that one. But anyway, that wraps up everything I wanted to talk about with this game. So yeah, this is a great game. It just sucks that the version I played contains a fatal flaw that kinda poisons the well. I mean, this game is just so hard. It's like you touch the top of the building, you die, you touch the ceiling, you die, you touch the floor, you die, you go too far to the left, you die, you go too far to the right, you die, 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 die.